beautiful souls. Welcome to Stepping into Soul Power. I'm your host, Dr. Elizabeth Ssemanda, the intuitive psychiatrist, and I'm thrilled to have you here today for another episode that's going to be about healing. How can you heal yourself? If you've been feeling like, it's time to embrace a deeper level of healing, emotional, physical, spiritual healing, today's episode is really for you, and it's going to inspire you. I'm honored to introduce today's guest. She is a powerhouse healer who's dedicated her life to helping others really tap into their true healing potential. She's a medical intuitive, ascension guide, a master energy healer. She uses her incredible gifts to create rapid transformation in the lives of her clients and really help them shift into a greater health, greater peace, and greater empowerment. Janet Doerr, welcome to the show. I'm happy to have you here today.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Elizabeth. It's such a pleasure to be here, and to your lovely audience that will be listening to this recording. So it's my pleasure.
Wow. Well, I'm really excited to have you here. Your story is truly inspiring, and those who are listening might be new to your work. And you've got such a unique approach to healing. So I'm wondering if you could tell us about how you went to discover this path.
Thank you. Yeah, it was sort of a path that went like this, hither and yon, and eventually, you get on to where I'm meant to be in this moment. I had about a 25-year plus career doing management training, working in corporations, ascending through the ranks, taking big chunks of the company and transforming them, improving them, managing things. Last 12 years, I was doing senior finance management, again, rising through the ranks to end up reporting to the CFO of a $900 million at that time publicly traded corporation in high tech. Interesting, they made microscopes, still do, looking at the atomic scale, the nanoscale. So I've actually been able to see energy under a microscope. So how cool was that? When I looked at a little bit of gold and I saw, the gold is mostly space. Yes. And then this is what we learn as we work with energy, that truth is what we think is firm matter is mostly space. And it's when I push on my shoulders here with my fingers, the only reason I perceive resistance is the energy in my fingers are meeting the energy in my shoulders. And so the energy's pushing against it. But I, if I thought about it and had practiced and learned to do this, which I haven't yet, I could take my fingers and go straight in to my body. So about 12, let's see, this is 2025 now. So about 13 years ago, I developed a degenerative pain in my hips. Both of my hips just ached like crazy. And I found that I could no longer run and walk and do the gardening stuff that I loved, couldn't be as active because of all the pain. And so saw a doctor and got x-rays and showed me that my hips had deteriorated quite a bit. The bones were bone on bone, or there was some cartilage, but it was pretty much shredded. And the bones looked bumpy. And so I chose to get, this is after a couple of years of using over-the-counter pain medications to get through, which reduced the pain but trashed my liver, I later realized. Go figure. So I had one total hip replacement. So I'm bionic on the left side, titanium and ceramics and so forth. And the hip functions fairly well, but a fair amount of tension still in the muscles there. So then things changed at work. And right after I'd had my surgery, and I found myself feeling not fulfilled, thinking, okay, there's a misalignment here all of the sudden. So what's going on? And I spoke up and said, this isn't working for me. And so the company and I agreed to part ways. And so off I go with a severance package. And so now I've got time. Such a gift when you've been working in high tech for 20 years. It's like 60-hour work weeks. Time is a precious thing. So I thought and said, well, if I'm going to get a second hip replacement, then I should first get more flexible, stronger, healthier, because I thought it would go better, and which of course would be true. And so then as I got on that path and started eating better, and I had quiet time to be at home, I'd never meditated before, didn't have a meditation practice ever. My meditation was being out in the garden and being with nature and getting quiet and getting present. So as I moved into more of that energy, more of that quiet, reflective time, I went, well, wait a minute, I can heal myself. I remembered, I can heal myself. We heal our bodies all the time. People break bones, they heal up, they go on. They tear cartilage or a tendon or something, it heals up, they go on. So I thought, well, there's nothing but bone and cartilage and tendons down there, so I'll just heal it. And then I remembered more about yes, this is possible. I felt this, deep in my core of my being, this is possible. So I then said, okay, well, if this is what's happening, great deal of pain in my right hip, left hip was functioning, the one that was operated. Well, what would I really love to experience? And so I imagined myself climbing up stairs with tons of energy and no discomfort and flexible and being able to get down and get up, just as easily as I did in my 30s and on. So I started writing out things. And then I thought, oh, there's several things I'd like to heal. My memory got trashed in the 10 years before that. I would like that sharp as a tack memory I had before. And so I started making my list. It was like a kid in a candy shop. Okay, I have a perfect, memory. I'm now my perfect healthy weight. I'm strong. I'm flexible. So I started writing out what I was choosing. I am statements calling on the power, the I am that I am, our presence, which is a creator being, to start making choices. And it was like, with this remembrance, oh, I'm a powerful creator. I can heal myself. In fact, I can create anything. So why don't I just get on that? So I started making my list. It was like my Christmas list. What I want for Christmas is all these following things. And that helped me move away from statements I'd been making in the past. A doctor said, you have osteoarthritis. Mm-hmm. I had seen the x-ray that showed kind of a bit of damage in there. But then I said, but I can fix that. I can have a nice, smooth, rounded top of a femur with a juicy layer of cartilage going into a juicily lined, cartilage-lined hip joint, and it just moves, juicily, juicy joints. So I started focusing much more on what I was choosing to create and ignoring the fact that doctor said this and doctor said that, and other people out there might say, oh, well, that's a degenerative disease, dis-ease, and something that once it starts, it only goes downhill. And I went, well, that's not true. I just knew in my heart that it wasn't true, that anything that had deteriorated could be restored because the body is an amazing healing machine. So as I started claiming, I am, this is what I'm choosing, felt it, imagined it already so, then I just said, okay, so what would it take for this to show up? And then I listened and I would be guided. So and I started talking to my body, and I talked to my body like, body, what would you like me to eat today? And I'd go in, I'd go into the kitchen. What would you like me to eat? And the body would kind of guide me. Open this cupboard. Oh, dried cranberries and cashew nuts. Okay, that's what you like. That's what I'll feed you. Go into the grocery store. Body. I'm in the produce section. What do you want me to see here? And I kept hearing and reading kale. Kale. And I'd never cooked it. I didn't know what to do with it. I knew what it looked like. I saw it on plates when you get food, it'd be a garnish. But people eat this stuff? Well, apparently a lot of people were saying eat kale. And so I said to Spirit, okay, I will eat kale if I knew how to cook it. So I would like some recipes that I would enjoy. You know me, Spirit. Bring me some recipes I would enjoy. So one day for fun, how I got guided, asking questions, choosing, proclaiming my new state. I'm in the produce section of a local grocery store that has organic. By that time, I'm hearing organic. Okay, I'm going all organic. And there's two ladies standing near me, and they start having this conversation going, oh, my favorite way to eat kale is. And they're, sharing recipes. Oh, that's good, one says to the other. But this one I like even better. And as they had this playful, joyful conversation about 3 different ways or 5 different ways that they loved kale, I'm standing there, relatively close to them, smiling, knowing that they showed up and are having that conversation in my presence in response to my prayer and request for recipes that I would enjoy. Not some other, lots of ways to prepare kale, but maybe I wouldn't enjoy those. They talked about ones coincidentally that I would enjoy. So that was the blessing. So I started realizing how magical and amazing what was happening is. I make choices. I say, this is what I'd like to experience. Please bring it to me. What would it take for this to show up? I get helped. I get guided. By the 3rd or 5th time I'd heard kale, I knew this was, something I should pay attention to because the word kept showing up. But then I said, well, instead of saying, but I don't know how to cook it and just closing it down with a limitation, then I went, okay, no limitation. All right, I just need to ask for help. Yes. So what would it take? I would be happy to eat kale if I knew how to prepare it. And so staying in that, I've made a choice. I'm infinitely supported. Ask, and ye shall receive. And then watch the magic unfold. So I have healed my right hip. I can walk for 5 miles. I can jump up and down on cement. I can go to a trade show, for example, and walk around on the cement for, several hours, although I'm inclined to want to find a bench and sit and rest for a bit, like anybody in that kind of, situation, which is very jarring to be walking on cement. But I have not got another surgery and won't need one. So people have said, well, did you get another x-ray to see what's going on down there? And I said, no, I don't need to. I know that I've already, subjecting my body to radiation is not aligned with my choice to be healthy. So I don't have that need. The proof in the pudding is that I go up and down stairs and can function. And, my husband and I have gone to Europe a few times since where we walked, 8 to 10 miles a day off a river cruise and enjoyed. And it's like, I got what I asked for, flexibility and the ability to move with naturally healing without surgery.
That's so powerful. You made a lot of great points. Like it sounds like you had a complete 180 or 360 regarding your internal dialogue, and then also just faith, like having faith in your ability, and then also the relationship between you and your body transformed.
Yeah, really. And how did it happen? Well, I'm sure I had some codes that were activated around December 2012. That was a big time for new energies and sort of start of a new era. So I know that the light shone in and some of the encoding in my energetic field got a wake-up call. It turned on. And so things started unfolding. And so it was more easy for me to align with that, realizing that there had been a shift. I was no longer in a cube, in a corporation, 60-hour weeks, doing financial forecasting and business contracts. I'm now in this ethereal world of listening to my body, making choices, and remembering me as a creator being. So back to what I really want to give your listeners, a couple of the key points I've made here. One is, if you've got something going on in your health, in your body, or in your life, instead of focusing on the problem and all that you've said about it and all anybody else has told you about it up till now, you rather say, okay, I have had this experience, but what would I choose instead? What would I choose instead? What would I love to experience? Because the first step of reconnecting with us and our creator power and our creator being is make a choice. We are creators. So we should think of something cool to create, not just get rid of a problem, because in fact, what we resist persists. So if you focus on a problem, you go, make this go away. I don't like this. I'm so frustrated with this experience. All you're doing is holding it in place energetically, because you're not accepting that this is the experience you're having. It's happening for a reason. It must be serving some purpose. You may not see it yet. It may be very uncomfortable. It may be painful. It may not be allowing you to do other things you really wish to do instead. Acknowledge that. Feel your feels, take a breath, cry your tears, feel the frustration roaring through, and relax back in and say, and I still am a divine being of light, a powerful creator, and I get to choose a new experience. So get your journal out and start writing. What would I love to experience? And you can do a process where you take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, and on the left, put what's happening now. Memory, not good memory. Overweight, weak, pain in some part of your body, etc. How you're feeling emotionally, too. What you're noticing. Gee, I'm a bit hard on myself in your thoughts and so forth. Or relationships, what's happening. Then on the right side, take each one, right side of the piece of paper, take each one and say, well, if memory, not so good memory, well, what would I love to create? Sharp. So I wrote down, sharp as a tack memory, better than ever. And took something else, pain in the hips. Walking upstairs, strong, flexible, able to get down on the floor, back up, boom. So each one, okay, this is what I am experiencing or have experienced, put it in the past tense. Now, but what would I love to be experiencing? And then feel. So this is the most important part. Don't just think it and write it, but feel. What would it feel like if that was already so? So now you're bringing it into the now moment. Now, then start asking questions. And a great question, which I shared already, what would it take for this to show up? Okay, I would eat kale if I knew how to cook it. So what would it take for some great recipes for kale cooked to show up for me? What would it take for, I asked because I had used Aleve, an NSAID for pain reduction, realized that was really not the best choice, trashing my liver. So, and trashed liver related to me carrying extra weight at that time. So I went, okay, so what would it take for some completely natural pain relieving options to show up for me? And I was promptly guided to turmeric and boswellic acid and rubbing frankincense oil on the joint when it hurt, white willow, which is what aspirin actually is from. So I learned all these different things that I could use, but focusing on reducing the inflammation because that was the result of the pain. So mostly it was turmeric and boswellic acid for inflammation reduction, and a diet that was anti-inflammatory. I got guided to, I'd see an email and something would draw my attention, open it up, and maybe what was in the subject line didn't turn out to be the blessing. But when I read down 3 paragraphs, they shared something else, and I went, oh, there's the energy. There's the response to my prayer. Click on that. Oh, somebody's going to teach about anti-inflammatory diets. Fantastic. I'm there. So all of these things guided me. And in the process, what else happens? A whole lot of emotion comes up. and I started getting glimpses. I'd have all this sadness, and I'd go, where did all this sadness come from? And then I'd realize, oh, not feeling supported. And the hips, what do? They support us structurally. So it's no surprise that when we don't feel supported, then the energy gets blocked in the hips instead of feeling supported, feeling unsupported. And so there were things, being a female in corporate life, in male-dominated high-tech companies for 25 years, there were lots of things that I experienced. And I don't blame or have any ill will towards any of the men I worked with. It was just what was happening in a male-dominated culture. And it really wasn't ever set up to be highly supportive. It wasn't really supportive of other men, quite frankly. But some would find, ways to thrive in that culture, and others wouldn't. But for us women, I'd show up at a morning meeting and the guys would start talking about the sports from the day before. And then we'd have the meeting and they'd end talking about the football game from the day before. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I could watch the football game or get some tidbits. So I come in and I'm ready to, and I share something about the football game. Did you see that play? And they'd look at me like, you're actually not included here. And they would just ignore or dismiss my comment. And I go, okay, well, I can't play the game on their terms because their terms were the men talk about the football. The women are not included in that. So I just had to get over it, and just wait for the meeting to start and then I could contribute. But all of these different things, well, what did that bring up? Emotional energy, not feeling seen, not feeling recognized, feeling an outsider in, I would call it, or the men would talk about their cars. And so then I'd go, boys and their toys. They'd gone to the car show the day before and they were so excited. And it was like, boys and their toys. and just have to acknowledge that that's just where they were. That was their interest. That's what lit them up. That's what gave them joy. It didn't happen to play any role in my interests. And get over feeling like an outsider in a culture that really didn't ever intend to include women. So, but emotion would arise from that. So I go, okay, I'm going to feel this. And then I'd start getting glimpses of experiences from other timelines. So past lives, some people would call them, but I call them other timelines. And those things would come up. And I'd have memories of various things of harm that came to me and trauma.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
As you were going through this, were you doing this entirely on your own? Did you have a coach? Did you have a therapist? Were you, I guess?
No coach or therapist. I listened to, virtually all on my own, but I would listen to summits, podcasts like this, where speakers would come and I'd hear someone, I'd get an insight and I'd go, oh, there it is. Okay, let me apply that. Let me use that little tidbit, that little tool, that suggestion. So, and a lot of times when I'd hear something, I'd go, I remember that. Oh yeah, we can do that. Oh yeah, that's how you get present with emotional energy. And what do? You just breathe. Whether it's a volcano of anger and frustration roaring up through you, breathe. We actually don't have to speak. We don't have to yell. We don't have to spew it at anybody else. We can, in fact, just breathe and be present to this volcano. That's what anger feels like when you get triggered and somebody says something and it's like, here it goes. And it roars up within you what's getting triggered is old anger from other moments of now, stuffed and stored and not processed. And so someone says the perfect words to hit your perfect button for, that to link back to the other moments like that where you had the anger, and up it comes. The other person is actually doing you a favor, because they knew intuitively at spirit level exactly the perfect words to push your button to trigger that, so that you could release that energy. Truly is a blessing. The other person is not making us mad. They're helping us to access our mad and to release it. So no, I got most of my tips, virtually all of them, from listening to a summit speaker and going, oh, I remember that. I can use that. And as I got eventually connected with other people who do energy work, to know them, to be able to talk to them eyeball to eyeball rather than listening to someone I really didn't know on a summit like this, then I learned more. I got gravitated to certain people, and we'd share things and they'd go, oh, that's so brilliant. Oh, this is what I do in that situation. And so some of the gifts of energy healing, the tools that I use, the methods and the approaches I use were honed, crafted, remembered, or inspired through a conversation with someone else.
So, and as an intuitive, it sounds you've worked with lots of different people, and I'm wondering, when you look back at your work, what are some of the common beliefs or patterns that you've noticed that people need to release in order to really step into their power and heal?
Well, one is I do pay extraordinarily close attention to the words my client chooses. Mm-hmm. And I did ask Spirit one time, I said, please make my job easy. Please make my job easy when I'm working with a client. Have them just guide me easily right to the energy that we need to work on to clear, so that they can get a breakthrough. So people do that for me. And they'll use a word, or they'll say something about themselves several times. They may mention, for example, a doctor's diagnosis. I have such and such. And I'll say, okay, let's just start right there, because you can't have a something disease label and not have it at the same time. So which are you choosing? Do you want to be without it and healthy, or do you want to keep having it? Oh, they say. Oh, I said, okay, so you can let that go. And then they'll say, okay, but how do I speak about my health experience without saying I have such and such, the label the doctor gave me? And I said, oh, well, you can say a doctor suggested to me that such and such label would be applied to the symptoms. But I said, I'd prefer we talk about the symptoms. When does this happen? When did it start happening? Did anything happen right before that? A major event in your life or something that you can remember? So then we can track the energy back to, was there a hurt or a harm or a heart wound or something that triggered the moment when the symptoms started? So go ahead, ask another question.
I wonder about, just thinking of our listeners, I think a lot of them have, there's a lot of things going on right now in our world, and people are feeling, at least as a psychiatrist, I see it in my office, especially now. A lot of people have lost their jobs, or, I know people in California who've lost their homes.
Right.
And right. There's a lot of uncertainty, and you've helped people heal. I guess, what are some techniques, tricks, tips that you use to stay cool, calm, and collected, like to help, what can they do to stay centered during all of the stuff that's going on right now?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot going on, and things are breaking up, changing, dissolving in front of our eyes, whether it's a government agency or a whole, community burnt to the soil in Los Angeles or washed away in the floods in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Huge shifts for people to get through. The first thing to know is that all prayers get answered. In the asking, it is given. So if a person is feeling overwhelmed with their circumstance, or they just really don't know how to proceed, the first thing to remember is the ascended host can provide you tremendous help and support, but only if we ask. Because they honor our journeys, they see our sovereignty, and they will not interfere. That's how much they love us, because that's one of the universal laws, no interference. So the moment you start asking questions, well, now you are asking for help. So asking questions and praying. So if something has happened in your life, you've lost a job, for example, or people very close to you have suddenly passed and left the earth plane, and you feel a deep grief in your heart. Let's start with that one. Then to say, God, Spirit, Creator, however you might choose to address the great energy from which we all come. Say, I acknowledge I am feeling a lot of emotion and grief. Please help me get through this, and help me with grace and ease get back to the point at which I will feel cheery and happy again. I'm prepared to feel some grief. I know it's natural, but goodness, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed with this. Well, that would be a good prayer. You can make your prayer to Mother, Father, God, Creator, Source. You can pray to your angels, your guides, and in the asking, it is given. The moment that you issue a prayer, ask a question, now all realms can respond and help. When I asked for something to do with kale, two ladies I don't even know showed up at the grocery store at the same moment as me to answer my prayer. So that's number one, is to know that we can receive tremendous amounts of help. And that was one of the lessons and the learnings out of my hip situation. I learned to say, I am infinitely supported. I am infinitely supported. Now, if a person lost a job, and of course they may be feeling shocked or surprised, or it was sudden, they didn't see it coming, or in my case, I started feeling misaligned with what was going on and not satisfied with it, but I really didn't know what was going to come next or what the solution to that would be. So now you find yourself, for whatever reason, without a job. Then we can say, Mother, Father, Mother, Father, God, Creator, Source, however you wish to address the energy. I would love to once again be providing my unique soul gifts in service to others in the ways that I most love to, communicating, teaching, training, coaching, managing, creating, building something, organizing things, working on systems, whatever it might be. Each of you know how you wish to show up in the world to be of service. And we're all here to be of service in some way, our unique way. So to just say, Mother, Father, God, please guide me. How can I once again be in a position where I'm joyfully in service, thrilled, sharing my gifts, and with remuneration that, pays my bills and extra to have some fun. Please bring this to me. I am so grateful. And then you imagine that it's already so. And you feel yourself in a new workplace with some new colleagues, with some new clients. And you're going, I'm so grateful. This is like the perfect job showed up for me. Wow, this is even better than what I left. And now you start to realize, so that's how we use our heart energy to magnetize our creation to us. Choose it, claim it, feel it already so, ask for help, and then allow it to come in divine timing and order. And in the meantime, what may come up? Emotion. Maybe a person feels angry. that what happened in work. Well, that's what you're present to. Feel it. It's not useful actually to say, oh, I shouldn't feel angry. I should only feel forgiveness. Well, I'm sorry. If you're feeling anger, feel it. I acknowledge. Okay. Because the anger that's arising up within you is not, trust me, it's not just from what just happened that you got laid off. It's the grand total of anger from all timelines that you have suppressed from maybe having your livelihood interrupted or a war, or, you name it. Can be from all kinds of things, but tends to be from a somewhat related experience in a different timeline. Can be ancestral, etc. And you just acknowledge, okay, there's some anger. I'm just going to feel it and breathe. Now I'm a little worried. Okay, there's some fear. Okay, how am I going to support myself? So instead of creating from fear, you say, well, how would I rather feel? I am, taken care of. I'm secure. I have a new opportunity. I'm receiving the income I require, and I'm in joyful service. And eventually you get to the point where you look back and go, wow, what a blessing that I got fired.
Yes.
Because this job is way better, and I never knew to expect this. I didn't know this was possible. It's not fun going through that in-between stage where something collapses, dissolves, and it's gone, and you're just left with your feelings. So feel the feelings, but then we need to go into creator mode. Okay, blank slate, new opportunity. So what would I like to put in its place in my life? Because I've got all this empty space. There's a hole in my life, 40 hours a week of work that's not there. So you have 40 hours of a week available to meditate, feel, and create. And then watch what happens. So you say, okay, bring this to me. This is what I'm feeling. I would love to be of service. I'd like to do more of this and less of that other thing I had to do a lot in the last job. Please don't bring me that. I'd like to have, more of this and this and this. Enjoy. And then now we need to follow the breadcrumbs and recognize when you get an email or someone says, hey, would you like to go down to the library? There's a talk. And you go, well, that's kind of out of the blue and a bit random. But then you go, but maybe it's an answer to a prayer. Maybe I'll meet someone there. And sure enough, you go and the talk is not the subject, but sitting next to you is a person. And they say, what about you? And you say, well, I just got laid off and I'd really love to do this. And the person goes, no, kidding. We just opened a job like that at our workplace. Would you like, to apply? Here's the information. That's how you can get guided. So when you've asked for help and now random things or what you think might be random show up, then ask yourself, am I meant to act on this? Am I meant to go? Even if you're puzzled and you don't understand why you're guided here or there, say, well, I have time now. I'm going for a ride. So let's go see where this goes. You may meet someone, sitting next to you, invariably the perfect person to support you and answer your prayers. You'll be guided to them and they'll be guided to you in those moments. So that's where the faith comes in. Speak to your God, your creator. Ask for help. Even if you haven't talked to your God creator in ever, just know it's there and say, Mother, Father, God, creator, all that is, I could use some help here. I would love to experience this. I've just had this rather challenging experience. Please guide me. Please help me. I wish to be of service, enjoy, and have what I need to thrive. So guide me, please.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Wow. I feel like I could listen to you all day. You've been incredibly insightful. I would love to thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today, inspiring us, just honestly giving people a lot of hope. And we need that right now. Your insight has been truly inspiring. And we are so glad that you were able to come on the show. Thank you, Janet.
My pleasure. I love to share, and you ask a question, spirit comes in down the channel, tell them this, share this story, answer this. I just, open my mouth and let spirit work through me.
Thank you.
And I do have a little gift. May I make that? So what I've shared here is just a tiny taste of the work that I do and what I teach and how I help people tune back into the remembrance of themselves. So I've got a gift here, which is 5 steps to transform your energy and transform your health, but you can apply it to loss of job situation or anything that you current situation's not what you desire, you wish to create something new. 5 steps. So if you click on the link that's on the page here, transform your energy, you'll receive my 5 steps and then be on my mailing list so that you can hear where I'm speaking next, to learn more from me, to learn about the programs I offer, sessions, and group work that I do.
Perfect. Thank you so much. If you haven't heard it yet today, I appreciate you. The soul in me honors the soul in you. If you'd like to see more episodes like this, please subscribe or click here. And friends, if this spoke to you, leave a comment below. We would love to hear from you.